Hi, I'm Ken Hackshaw. Welcome to another episode of Risk Unfiltered. Today, I'm privileged and kind of happy to have the one and only Candice Harry with us. I'm going to forego the introduction per se to have Candice do it herself. Tell us what she now does, and we'll take it from there going forward. Candice, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right in.
All right, so I am Candice Harry, the owner of the House of Kathy Salon and currently the owner of the Bulletproof Beauty Business Online Academy, where I am a hairstylist, licensed cosmetologist, and I also educate other hairstylists in, the field, right? So yeah, it's pretty much it.
Okay, so I know of House of Kathy, and I know you had a birthing a couple of days ago. When I first saw the ad, that kind of threw me off because I wanted to know who do I have to call and who was the guy's name. I think I heard some of you were having a baby, and then I said, well, no, this is kind of news. So speak to the concept. How did you come up with the birthing idea, and speak a little bit about the bulletproof. The naming of the new product and services.
Okay, gladly. What that was about as I grew in business, on the business side of it, because that's not something that they stressed on in cosmetology school. And because I am who I am, have a spirit of excellence and always wanted to provide the best, I knew that I needed to advance in my optimal knowledge of business in a short version way, because I honestly didn't have the time to sit down in a business class, right? And so as I started to do that, I started to outsource like business coaches, success coaches. And the more that I started to open up my mind to the business structure of things, one of my business coach, she decided, matter of fact, she shared with me something by Elon Musk. And he himself said, especially for me, because I don't have any kids, I don't have a husband, so it's really just me. And a lot of people say, well, you don't have no kids, you don't have nothing to worry about. It's like, no, my business is my baby. And so when he said that, a lot of times we as entrepreneurs, we focus so much on baby showers and not business showers, because when you're starting a new business, that support from the family, your friends, your community, that is definitely needed. And also it helps you to, the motivation to continue to know that what you're doing is actually making sense, and just to celebrate yourself, because I don't know what it is that we don't celebrate ourselves, no matter the big or the small wins. We don't celebrate that, just the big idea gets us clouded. So when I got that understanding, I was like, this makes so much sense, because this is my baby. Like, I spend so much time, I nurture it, I groom it, I had it in my mind, and then I birthed the vision. So when that, that reality kicked in, I was like, hey, we can do this. And then obviously the marketing strategies of I'm having a baby, draw everybody in. And then when they came in, it was like, hey, it's a business.
Wow. Well, I definitely can't can use that concept though. And I think my colleagues who are here would have heard me use the term from giving birth to the Caribbean-Risk Academy, and I was sticking without an epidermal.
Right.
So speaking to the pain. So a great concept though. Great. Birthing of the business. Yeah, with that, the naming convention, I could read it. Let me start by asking you this though. So you said you would have had business coaches, and I don't know if this is colleagues who are in certain lines of business, or if these were folks who provide this as a service to others, like consultants. But did any of these business coaches speak to my baby, which is risk management, and how the role that plays in taking you to the next level, in both protecting your business and creating value for your business?
When you put it like that, yes. right?
Okay.
Would it be in your words? No. But it would be in more or less in this structure, because these are international persons that would have
Okay.
done, marketing and business in Thailand, in different places in the US and so on. And then they kind of took that business knowledge from like corporate and so on and
Mhm.
integrated that into the beauty business, because that's the area where we kind of fall short, where we focus so much on just doing versus the knowing and the growing. So with having that, they do talk about the importance of having certain things in place, like
Okay.
first of all, you're registering your business, you know what I'm saying? Just starting as simple as that, what you need, the difference between the LLC, the incorporation.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So it's a lot of that in its wholeness. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So though, and it's a similar conversation I had in with Private Ryan. So informally, he was doing, or in a ad hoc fashion, he did that which we regard as certain risk principle, or he integrated certain risk principles without actually knowing he was doing that. And one of the things he spoke to, and which is something we all do, is in a very practical and fundamental space, is something we call scenario planning. And
Okay.
that being said, if I use those words, given what and how the bulletproof, what's the name? Bulletproof.
Beauty business.
Right. I think you would have done that, because you would have sat and thought it through. You'd have done okay, how do we get this thing off the ground? What do we need to do? Okay, great. Did you then use these words? Okay, what are the risks am I looking at? Or did it come in another form, meaning, okay, this is probably some of the things that could go wrong? Was that literal, or you did it by way of other means? Or did you, I think what I'm asking is, did Candice Harry sit down and say, okay, I want to create this business, and this is how it's going to look, and the birthing concept used. Okay, what can go wrong? Or what are the risks I'm looking at? Was it literally like that, or how did you identify the things that could go wrong to this end result, to the birthing of the baby? Maybe I shouldn't use that, because for folks who just they might take it literally. Yeah. But what was that process like for you?
Well, it is a process. So, yes, you do go into, you will have this big idea, then you have to kind of take it from here, put it on paper, really show who are you talking to? What is your audience you're dealing with? Really try to niche it down. What is it different? What do you have to offer that someone else doesn't have to offer? So you run it through all those different areas. And then you set up structures, and you more or less put it in a beta phase. So you start learning and watching and seeing, okay, well, this worked, that didn't work. I can improve here. I can do this here. So that's the way how anytime I launch something now, it's never like set in stone just as yet. It's more or less doing your outsourcing, seeing what is really required and needed out there. What do they want? Because I might have a big idea and people probably don't even want it, so you start doing your there's a word that's not coming to me, but you start putting out there. So what do you need, and what's happening? Where do you need help? And you start putting that out there, and you really start categorizing where you can start creating that help for them, because that's more or less what it is. And watching to see what works. So it's more beta phase before you actually say, this is it.
Okay, all right. So I think what I'm hearing you saying, there is an identification of what can go wrong.
Yes.
During your planning process. All right. So you would have gone through that. Did any of the possibilities of what can go wrong, did it manifest? What are some of the hiccups you ran into to get to the stage you are where you launched this new product and service?
Honestly, nothing yet, right? And I say yet because you have to leave room for it. However, it wouldn't have just been me having a big idea. It would have birthed from being in the House of Kathy salon, being behind the chair, then opening myself to educating. And now you're educating and you're meeting other stylists, listening to their needs, listening to what they don't have, doing the research and figuring out what's lacking, what's needed, how do you help them grow? And you listen to the stories. And so the more that I did that, I started to say, you know what? I need to do something about this. So I started to create from there. Yeah.
All right. So similar to other entrepreneurs. So what you just experienced is something we call lessons learned. So you would have taken probably the mistakes and or the successes of folks in a similar space, and you utilize that. Okay, brilliant. All right. So you're now embarking. Well, House of Kathy was doing teaching and training element, right? And I would imagine that that's something that folks pay for. So they pay to learn how to do that. Okay, so you took one business, which is the hairstyling business, and you extended that and monetized it further by teaching and training that which became natural to you and which is your skill set.
Yeah.
And now you have expanded that a bit. So the folks, the ladies, and I guess it's mostly ladies, let me not say that. So the
I get both. And then so the folks.
Yeah, I think I need to come and join and learn a little thing myself. But for those starting off, so folks are coming now to learn that which the skill sets that you are now imparting upon them.
Right.
How do you share your lessons learned with them so they don't have to go through that which you would have gone through? And they probably still will, but it makes that ease of transition a bit easier if they now have a lessons learned kind of capacity building that would come from you. So have you sat down and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my clients / students to make their transition into their entrepreneurial space a bit easier?
Yes, and you're actually talking about the new baby, because that's what Bulletproof Beauty Business is. So you're talking about it's the lessons learned that I put together in it's a 6-week course, right? That we're going to more or less start from the bottom up. And the first thing we're dealing with is mindsets. And so the bulletproof is the bulletproof mindset. So that's where the bulletproof comes in, having that type of mindset. Because in all things, especially business, if your mindset is all over the place, that is exactly what's going to happen in your business, right? So that's like I'm here like, oh my God, he's talking about what I did, because I took all the lessons learned and still learning, and I have now creating because it's going to build where at one point I am going to open it up into more, just for like as a small business.
All right, so you're talking about actually doing classroom training for these in the Bulletproof. Okay, so is there like a curriculum that they'll be following?
It's actually going to be online. So it's totally going to be online, where they themselves, they're working at their own pace, but they have 6 weeks to get it done. So it's very engaging. They were going to have action steps where they actually have to complete certain assignments and so on, show proof. And so it's very, interactive, and really, getting down to the things that we overlook or we feel like we don't have support. Bulletproof Beauty Business, that's what it's going to be. More or less the support for the person that wants to, get it right.
Okay, and so you said online. So then the folks will actually be, notwithstanding the classroom sessions, the folks will actually be learning hairstyling virtually, meaning they will have to get their own products and thingy, and you'll be demonstrating that, or it's
Well, yeah. For now, it's really just the business part. So this have nothing to do with here. This part, this course has nothing to do with here. But they will have classes where they can go on, where it's not going to be so hands-on, especially with COVID. Like COVID taught us that we shouldn't limit ourselves with just having to be in person. Like there's so much that you can do, whilst wherever you're at. So that's more or less what I'm doing. Don't wait until you have the money, or don't wait until you're here in person with me. You can do it right there.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say coincidentally. I used the word. What was that word? It's not by happenstance. serendipity and some things, and I kind of, you would definitely agree with this. Some things don't happen by happenstance, and so things happen when it when it ought to happen. But let's set it aside for a second. How as you mentioned COVID, how has COVID impacted? How prepared were you for COVID? And I'm going to ask a kind of obvious question, looking for a not so obvious answer. How prepared were you for COVID, and what did you do from a business standpoint so that it wasn't as impactful as it could have been?
First of all, what was COVID? Who the heck knew COVID was coming? Where the hell did that come from? First of all, that was that, right? Because all in my mind, as I talk with all these inventions and things that I'm doing, it's only been 4 years that I started the business,
Yeah.
So it's like I was still in my building phases, learning phases, all these different things. And here goes COVID. And it's like, whoa, what is this? So for me, in all honesty, I would say I was not prepared. I was not prepared for anything like that, right? And it was something that I had to do the work mentally to accept that, honestly, I was not prepared. And I honestly, like COVID, I had no way of controlling that, to be honest, right? In order for me to get
that's correct. No, none of us did. Yeah.
And so after I did that, it was like, okay, I went into, so now that things like this are possible, to start getting ready for anything and making sure that no matter what happens, your business can still stand. So for me, what kept me through COVID was my ability to think that there's another side, my ability to say, okay, hold up. That which you've been feeling that you need to start pivoting, you need to start developing in this area. So this is where I started to invest into the business side, really to understand how to survive through this and actually activate in that way. So COVID did that for me, where it pushed me into my uncomfort zone and it made me more aware. So like, okay, this gotta change, that gotta change, this gotta change, we gotta do better here. And it just started to activate a new me.
Okay, so let's take that principle, that lesson learned principle we were talking about, and let's add a risk management term to it going forward, which is business continuity. Okay. So two things need to happen, respectfully suggesting, and you can tell me how you're doing it. For HOK, for House of Kathy, you ought to develop formally and structurally a business continuity plan. And then also, given this new training development arm of House of Kathy, Bulletproof Business, you need to then impart that or help or guide them into, it's not just about the marketing, it's not just about the learning to develop, it's about having a plan to treat with disruptions. Yeah, or be prepared for the next disaster, not if, but when it does happen. And the disaster doesn't necessarily have to be a pandemic. It could be anything from a flood to a personal thing that's impacting your business. So structurally, those, for all entrepreneurs, and we spoke about this last night, most of the folks who go to these incubators to learn how to start a business and grow a business, unfortunately, well, I could speak to what goes on in Trinidad and Tobago. Identification and management of risk is not something that's formally spoken to, right? And I don't want to hear about inherent risk, because there's inherent risk in staying home. So that needs to be fleshed out. Good. So the question for you is this. Let's treat with House of Kathy for a second, because you need that to sustain right now, for the most part, that other arm of, so you have to protect that. Yeah. Brilliant. So risk management teaches us how two principal things. One is protecting your assets and creating value. Yeah. And those need to be formalized in the business. And then also, what information are you now gathering? Or what new type of data and information came to you by the formation of this business, this new product that can help you with House of Kathy that you may not have thought of or experienced? Anything? Were there any learning moments for you in developing and creating this new product, new line of business that can help you with House of Kathy, which is your firstborn and your bread and butter? I love these maternal analogies now. Yeah.
Definitely. I believe I started backwards, but due to my life story, it was like you had to start somewhere.
Okay, right.
So for me, the lesson learned is to really go after your structure with a system. Don't just jump into something and try to figure it out along the way, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so, like what you were saying with the certain types of plans that you would have in place for your business, the business structure. And we're not talking about the social side of it. We're talking about the business structural side of having certain things in certain places to make sure that you can withstand. That is something I learned 4 years ago.
That was baptism by fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that to me is so important. So exactly what you were saying just now, where you said, would I implement that? That's the second module before they get the social media, because that is the important thing. So you get your mindset, and then it's the business systems and structures, because we really need to have that in place before anything else.
Yeah. So is it, are you then going to be the person, and I guess in thinking, so I am not only, as is happening in your case, I am not only a consultant or a business owner, I'm also a lecturer and a teacher. Yeah. Right. And I guess you have now added, though you have been doing that for a while, you have now kind of like, you're not formalizing officially that lecturing training aspect of it. Basically, you have opened a school.
Yeah.
a virtual academy of sorts. Yeah. So, and as an entrepreneur, how do you then do one without impacting the other? Because in business, there's something called opportunity cost. So something has to give. It ought not to impact the growth of either, but unless you have that foundation and maybe some help, it can and will. Yeah. So how are you, or how will you ensure that HOK does not suffer because of this newborn? And going back to the maternal analogy, it could be breastfeeding this one, but you still have to cook for the other one. Yeah. So how do you ensure that the firstborn, the one that actually now is paying all the bills, the House of Kathy, doesn't suffer because of the time and energy you, as an entrepreneur now? So share that with the fellow entrepreneurs who will be listening. And not to be sexist, especially now the female entrepreneurs, two of whom we had on the last podcast. How do you then manage those dual responsibilities?
Okay. Well, the thing about it is, I always knew that I didn't want to be behind the chair for the rest of my life. Right. But I knew I had to learn the business first before I can actually build something or a franchise or whatever. I needed to learn the systems and how things were running. And so I'm still in that phase. However, with learning and understanding how to do, you see my virtual stuff that I got on here, I started to learn so much in that area too. So I don't have to be, me physically, don't have to be there as much as I would have done it if I didn't do it online. If I did it in person, my HOK would have suffered. But because now I know how to plan in advance, set it up in advance, where I don't have to be on the computer while this course is happening, right? So then I am now allowed that time to focus on HOK and bullet beauty proof by my structure. I have to have the structure too, really start planning out my days and planning out my content, not waiting today for tomorrow. So I can do the both. However, it is not, HOK was not from jump the end all for me to be behind the chair. So this is still me doing exactly what it is I knew that I wanted to do.
All right. Let's introduce another key risk management concept, and it's a conversation I had with someone like Private Ryan. You are now what we will call a key risk onto your business, a key person risk. which literally translates into if you were to elope, get laryngitis, or you broke your or sprained both arms, you won't be able to do that which you are promising you can do to your clients and customers. How, well, I'm not going to ask all because the concept may be new. And so this is where they're learning. The last, and I love to do, put personal experiences in the last podcast we did with two other entrepreneurs. One of my colleagues who might be listening said, "Hey Ken, do you think you were like lecturing?" I say it comes natural, but if I'm speaking with someone and I need to impart something, it'll come across as a lecture, because I love to evangelize about that which I live, as you are, because I do listen to your shows. What do you think you need to do to mitigate the risk of Candice Harry not being available for a couple days after you have planned all this? So you have a couple classes scheduled, online as they may be, or you have a couple clients at HOK you may have to deal with, but unfortunately you immediately becomes unavailable.
Right.
So you are a key person risk onto your organization. As for the most part, I like to think I am, as Private Ryan is phased, and some all singularly managed and driven entrepreneurs. But it is a risk you must consider, which is, what if I am not available on Thursday and I have all these things that are planned? Right. What happens if Candice is not available on Friday and you have like 10 clients? What will happen?
So the good thing about that is a system for HOK, whereas it's an appointment only system and it's booked way in advance. Okay. So I know right now I know what my 2 weeks is going to be like.
So I can be a walking client for you at HOK.
Don't do walk-ins. And for this reason.
Hey, membership have its privileges. No, don't you dare tell me I don't have that.
You alone have your privilege. I needed to be very clear with that.
All right, ladies who may be listening, I'm sorry. This is just for Ken. Okay, go ahead, Candice. Yeah.
And that has blessed me so much. And that's how I was able to have the time to create, because I know what my weeks are going to be like. I know what my days, and that's something that I came here with. It's something that I started the business with. And being in hairstyling for over 20 plus years, so I started at 14. Yes, I am that young. Yeah. Right?
Don't look at it and feel it, you're good.
Again, learning in throughout the watching to see how, people would just give their lives. They will have no time. It's just walking by walking and no structure. And I used to sit there and I used to look at that and be like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I always had a system in place where it was like appointments only. And the older stylists used to say, "You crazy, you losing out on money," and so on and so on. But that wasn't it. Clients appreciated that because it was about them, and then they were able to go. And now look, there is a appointment only system that has to happen now in 2021, 2021. Yeah. So I was already prepared for that. So I see why I was able to become that beforehand, because life had it that it knew that all of this would have taken place. Okay. So I'm a planner naturally. I love to plan. Okay. So I know what my days are going to be like. So I know what I can do on what days. And I knew that I could not be in person to do this, because the HOK would have totally suffered. And my end-all structure is to have people working for me.
I think let's lead in with that, because effective risk management teaches us to be proactive, and which you are, but we need to be anticipatory also. So, and even with the best laid plans, there will always be disruptions or deviations. Right. So what I'm asking then is, you have 5 appointments coming up. And I'm not hearing what I think I would like to hear, though you may have suggested it. So let's go back for a second. So how do you then prepare for that, though? For that eventuality that you may not be able to fulfill those appointments? Is there someone else equally as trained, not as as good as you are, but someone who could fill your shoes, someone you have trained up to assist you if you elope or you have to take a trip, but you have these appointments to make, or you have this class to teach. Do you have that backup, that key person backup, which is a control to mitigate that key person risk? Do you have that person that you can depend on?
Right now, no, I
Okay.
don't. But it's not affecting me in a way because I've already trained
Mm-hmm.
the clients and the new persons who
Mm-hmm.
are coming in. They know, okay, when she has the time, so they don't have to call me. I have a booking system, so they go
Right.
on and they make, according to, so that
Right.
because of that type of structure, I've been able to take vacations, I've been able to do things and not really lose out. I've been able to, like, see the devastation of COVID and still be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because of that
Yeah.
system. And so because of that, it's something that I always tell these, other stylists and on beauty professionals, get a system, you know what I'm saying? So that you don't have to be in that position where you then have to either lose out or let someone down because you have to be somewhere else. If the
Okay.
system is in place, it will work for you.
Oh, granted, but you must be cognizant that I'm not obviously speaking about the planned interruptions. I'm speaking about the unplanned interruptions. So by way of suggestions, respectfully, or recommendation, someone has to be as close to you. And I think I have two of my colleagues who are listening on them, that though it's not like a replacement for your good self, because some of us, that's why we are key person risk, but they could adeptly substitute for me and or for you if you aren't
Love
there.
that. I would love. I've tried. I honestly, I've went through some people, and
So
I'm
you have,
still.
you have no one, but you do agree that that backup or to
That's
have.
my
Okay.
end all. I want to have, that's what I'm saying. Like the beginning of HOK's vision was never for me to always be behind the chair, right? So my big idea was to be a teaching salon where I would have people working for me so that I don't have to be there, because I know I still have so much in me to do. So that is the end all. I have an assistant and I would have went through people like that. But again,
One
because
question.
Yeah. So because of the way how, like, this part of it, the business part of it is
Yeah.
not really the big idea when learning, in the beauty industry, the mannerisms, the things that is needed more than just the skill set
Well,
isn't there. So until I get
okay.
that, then yeah, I'm open to that. That is the aim.
So that is one of your high priority risks that you need to treat with. Okay, so let's bring all of this together. So, and the failure rate for new businesses is in the super 70s or 80 percentile. Okay,
Mhm.
not just about hairdressing and salon, because I think I know what you have spoken to is applicable and can be used in any type of upstart and new start industry, right?
Right.
So if you have to give, not if, you are now tasked, being now a lecturer, facilitator,
Cool.
formally,
Um,
um,
mhm.
right? Well, coach. Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, yeah. Let's look at ourselves a little differently. Um, you have to suggest. I send 3 folks to you. They want to start a business.
Mhm.
I send 3 individuals, and I'll ask you to give each of them a different piece of advice, not the same advice. So you have prospective entrepreneur 1, prospective entrepreneur 2,
Mhm.
prospective entrepreneur 3.
Mhm.
And you need to give each of them one piece of advice.
Okay.
Entrepreneur is a female that comes to you.
Mhm.
Now we're doing what we call scenario analysis, case
Okay.
studies. What is?
Study that.
Entrepreneur 1, a 20-year-old young lady wants to start a business. One piece of advice you would give to her, what will that be?
Know your whys.
Explain.
Why do you want to start the business?
Okay. All right. Second entrepreneur,
Mhm.
a 40-year-old female with 3 kids and her husband left her. She wants to start a business. And here again, here the construct. 40-year-old with 3
Right.
kids.
Okay.
What's the one piece of advice you would give to her?
That's one.
Just one.
That's one. Oh
Right.
my
You only
God.
have one piece of advice to give to her. What would that be? And she wants to start a business.
And 3 kids.
A wife and 3 kids. No, yeah, no, a woman, 40-year-old with 3 kids.
And she wants to now start a business.
Now start a business. Yeah, now start. What's the one piece of advice you'll give to her?
And it can't be the same like before.
Not the same, no.
What is your story? Who's your audience? What's your target market? Yeah.
Target market, great. The third entrepreneur, a male, 19 years old, never finished school, and wants to start a business. What's the one piece of advice you would give to him? 19-year-old male, and he wants to be a business owner. And it cannot be the same.
And he didn't finish school?
Didn't finish school. And it cannot be the advice you would have given to your first 2 clients or students. What's the one piece of advice you would give to the 19-year-old male who have not finished school?
Study risk management.
Give me a virtual bounce. Give me a virtual booyah. One thing entrepreneurs or business owners don't do, and this morning I was doing a training session for a major Caribbean entity.
Okay.
And one of the things I was trying to get them to do is what we call lateral thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, not critical thinking. That a lot of us do that well. You do it, but it takes you out of your comfort zone, as I did you with these 3 different types. But those are the things the business owner of 2021 and beyond needs to be more risk intelligent. You have all of the attributes, and to be quite frank, and I've said this to you personally, and in the essence of full disclosure, I'm so proud of your journey and where you are. I'm not surprised by the growth, and I love the birthing thingy, although I would have used it, but the thinking and the processes and effective management of a business starts with, if you can't think it, you can't act on it.
Right.
Yeah. And you have proven that by this, in my own words, you sat down and you thought this through, and then you acted upon that and you delivered. There we go again with that maternal analogy. Okay. But you have to be a nonconformist to succeed now. So we talk about constructive disruption. And yeah, so if you want to follow the normal line of how to run a business during COVID and post-COVID, you will not succeed.
No.
Exactly. And you're demonstrated that with this thing. So Candice, I want to thank you immensely. And again, yeah, since a full disclosure, I've known Candice for a bit. We have a sort of like bloodline going. I'm actually kind of like responsible for one of Kathy's unofficial offspring kind of way. But I'm so proud of your journey and what you continue to do. And so proud of your journey, proud of what you're doing. Yeah. And keep pushing that agenda, because what we want entrepreneurs like you in Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean. And my last comment for you will be, don't constrain yourself, don't restrict yourself to just Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. And I'm sure you're thinking that, and you don't have to. You could already start reaching out to other spots. Okay, great, and I could definitely good, and that's the conversation we can also have sidebar. So any last comments or words to the audience as they would be listening to this going forward?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be, invited.
And you should be, there's a long line of, yeah. So,
I am honored, just, you, I mean, it's Kenya. Sure. Right. Just to be a part of it. And you know, I am grateful exactly for what you're doing, you know, really giving something that is missing a lot in the minds and the hearts of a lot of us, because this is the era of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But everyone sees it as the money and
Yeah.
the whatever that success is, and not the work and the structures and the systems. So for me, I would say, you know, learn about the risk management. We have Ken, you know what I'm saying? You know,
You might have me free, but not the others. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but that's what I mean, you know. I mean, you need to put out some courses for us online too, right? And you know, just like, you know, you have to, don't go into it with just a big idea. That's one part. That's what you hold on to. But really going after it with a structured, a goal without a system is just a goal. You
Right.
know, so, you know, really, you know, do the work and put in systems, put in structures, and, you know, success is on the other side of that. So Ken, thank you. I am so honored. I'm overwhelmed right now again.
You sell that which you are successfully doing beautifully, and we need more people like you to push that envelope. And even though the folks who are attending our program have a lot of letters behind their names, you know, credentials, the thinking, the lateral thinking, the risk intelligence isn't there, and some of it is natural to you. So kudos.
Thank you.
Okay.
I received that. Thank you.
Most welcome.
I would love to do that. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so as I end always, thank you for being with us, and go forth and multiply the information.
That's
And,
right.
and continued success, my professional and dearest friend. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Cheers.